In a world where trombone players and musicians want to know the answers to burning questions, top trombone players, even me, are here with Paul the Trombonist Nowell to answer your burning questions.
In order to be the best musician you can be, it might not be as a professional. And that's what a lot of people have to understand. Even if they are professional musicians, often your best musical experiences very often have nothing to do with your professional musician background. It's to do with the idea of sharing music, which I think is I had an orchestra director in the Long Beach Symphony where I play. He just left. He was there for 13 years. He was Enrique Demecq, and he was our conductor for that time. And he used to give us a similar little pep talk before every concert on the Friday rehearsal before the Saturday concert. He said, our only responsibility as musicians is to share music and share our love of music. And we have this wonderful opportunity as musicians. We happen to be getting paid, but that's almost secondary to the fact that we have this opportunity to share our love of music and what this can do to you and what it can mean to you as a person. You get a chance to do it. Here's our chance. And every time you think of it as here's our chance to share music, that changes the way you practice, that changes the way you listen, that changes the way you do everything. Because to me, listening and talking about music is a way of sharing music. Teaching is a way of sharing music.
Yeah.
Listening to the radio and hearing somebody new, you're sharing music at that point that you can then tell people
Wouldn't
about.
life be boring without music?
It sure would be. and it's really, to me, that the heart of it is really, when you go back to what music is culturally, it was a way of sharing a moment, sharing a way of giving a soundtrack to our mythology. It was a way to express the unexpressible, and people try to put words to music sometimes. It almost takes it away, takes away some of that part of what music is, which is somehow through sound we're able to express ourselves, and everybody understands what we're saying, even though we don't say in words what that is. It's just raw. It's just a raw kind of human thing. It was interesting. There was a great thing about neuroscience, a little video I watched with Bobby McFerrin.
All right.
And he was talking to a neuroscientist who's been studying the relationship between different parts of the brain. They're doing all this brain mapping of music and how music, where is music in the brain? And people have always, I think, rightfully assumed the connection between the language centers and music, which we know does exist, but they're really finding more and more that the way people react to things that they hear is in another separate, specific part of the brain that has nothing to do with language. Oh. And that also, to me as a musician, makes intuitive sense, because there is something that goes beyond language with music, and it would make sense that there was scientific proof to that. Wow. That there's actually a part of your brain that resonates it's a little part of the brain, and I'm not sure exactly where it is, but the only time it's activated is in music.
That does make sense.
And it's almost as if there's a little bit of there's a chip
wow.
in your brain that we were somehow we evolved, or whatever you want to look at it, that we have this thing that music is responsible for, and I that to me is exciting. That
is exciting. That's like proof that it was meant to be.
Yeah, I guess so.
That there's a reason for it.
Yeah, and it's fun, and that's the reason why you get excited about music, or certain people get excited about music in ways that you don't get excited about just about anything else. There's lots of interests, and people can geek out on all kinds of stuff,
and the thing is music transcends cultures more than anything. If you look at all the figures in society that all cultures. Like, look at Michael Jackson. Like how every culture came together, and when there was like problems with countries, Michael Jackson would be like, hey, you want me to talk to the leader? They're a Michael Jackson fan.
Yeah.
It's
hey,
like,
Louis Armstrong too.
Louis Armstrong. Exactly.
Yeah.
All those guys. It's always the musician, even more than actors so much. It's always the musician that really.
There's something that there's almost a trust of what a unilateral acceptance of somebody who says something musically. It's Zach Perlman, is that person. Sometimes Yo-Yo Ma has that quality.
Yeah, totally.
And you get it in pop music. There are a lot of pop music people that are that way. It's very interesting.
It is.
And how the trombone fits into that sometimes is humiliating.
We're on their albums.
Yeah, that's right. There are trombones in a lot of those records. But anyway, yeah.
Well, that's cool, Alex. before we wrap it up, I would wonder if you could play your larger board.
Sure,
just
sure.
maybe.
I can try playing some stuff. Sure, let me assemble it. I work a lot out of the standard sort of repertoire, but I also like to always challenge myself with books and music that are not trombone oriented. I love working out of. Recently, I've discovered all the trumpet method by Tony Plogue, and it's 7 volumes, and it's so interesting because he's a composer as well as a trumpet player. He was a Jim Stamp student.
Oh yeah.
And so he has his routine that's in there is pretty involved, and it's laid out in a way that you can pick and poke, what things you use on a daily basis. It's it's raw material that you can make a routine out of his material, and it's really good. And then his etudes that he writes, he has etudes for finger exercises that are good on valve instruments, but they're also great etudes. And because he's a composer, they make sense musically. I didn't bring anyone with me today to sort of shed, but I'm always working on one of those.
Good to know.
So, they're great. They would appeal to people with some jazz sensibility because some of his harmony is a little more interesting than your standard Arbans, which I also work out of a lot. I use Arbans and all those sorts of books, Cornetti and all the standard sort of trumpet books and those method books. I incorporate those things into my daily routine. But as far as playing on this instrument, I practice the same things on all my instruments basically, but I might emphasize certain kinds of music on this. But let me see if I could just. So that's
beautiful. I've heard that melody before.
That's a Rochou.
Yeah.
That's a Bordoni etude number 8, I think.
Right, yeah.
The reason I love that etude the most is it's the shortest one in the book. But I love working on the Rochou books. I like to put them in different clefs. Put them, all the standard things everybody tells you to do.
Take them down an octave. Take them up an octave.
It's great. Also, lately I've been working a lot on articulation. I've always had a really slow single tongue. That's something I've always been envious of players like John Allred and Andy Martin, who have very, very fast single tongue articulation. Scott Kyle too, yeah. Very fast single tongue articulation. And I've always been envious of that. But one of the things I noticed in my frustration and yanking my hair out, whatever's left of it, one of the things I noticed about players with really, really good, clean and fast single tongue is most of them, to the last one of them, have a great sense of time and rhythm. There's something about their sense of rhythm that is so precise and clear that I thought, I think there's a correlation there. So what I tried to do is I said, okay, I can't single tongue as fast as them, but maybe I can develop my time a little better and see what happens as an experiment. So I took about, I'd say off and on for about a year. I developed a way to try to work on developing my time and rhythm and cleanliness and being able to subdivide really clearly. And one of the exercises that I really jumped into, a series of exercises, were in the Arbans book, and they're early in the book, and they're just little etudes that come after the syncopation exercises. But all those exercises that go da 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 or dun da da dun da da dun. I mean those two rhythms are so poorly played by people with bad time that they would not subdivide those exactly. Like when you go dun da da dun da da dun, that second note is on the and. A lot of people go dun da da dun da da dun da da dun, or they mess with the time in some way or stylize the time, so they're not being really clean. Dun da da dun da da. So if your subdivision starts late, you're going to have to compress those second two notes into a shorter period of time, and you'll think your single tongue is slow.
Okay, so what are you thinking?
What I'm really trying to do is make sure, like in that example of dun da da dun, is to really nail that second note on the upbeat where it's supposed to be, and practice that. And there are now some great metronome applications available that will leave out beats. Oh. So you'll be able to go click.
Oh, so you're honest with yourself. That's what it does. The truth detector.
It is a truth detector, and so I found that the more I worked on that, being able to not be late on rhythms like that, because being late forces you to have to compress those notes into a shorter period of time. But if you're in time, you have a better chance of playing them in the right time, which is not as compressed. It's still fast, But it's and then also I took some exercises out of Buddy Baker's daily routines, and his handbook. There's a great page in his handbook on staccato articulation that's really good, and basically just putting the metronome up to really fast tempo. Bob McChesney does this in his book too. His most recent. I'm giving good plugs to all these guys' books. Bob McChesney's method book is really great. It has a page of just doing little bursts of rhythm. Say if you have a metronome beat that's up over anything up over 110, 120, which is pushing people a lot in their single tongue, but just to be able to go. You can't go yet. You can't do a whole string of 16th notes, but you can get 2 or 3.
Okay.
So you work on getting your rhythm at slower tempos really clean.
Okay.
So I might go. Just really make sure that I'm sure that wasn't even that good, but if you can really lock in the time and the slower tempos, then you're working on your precision of time and your clarity of your articulation. And then on the other side, you try to get short bursts of 16th notes as fast as you can tongue, but but in smaller numbers of notes. So instead of a lot of people practice their single tonguing with, which is that's good too. But if you can go, that's a lot faster than what I was just playing. Slowly but surely add it, and you try to keep up. So it's those little bursts. If you can get 2, you can get 3. If you can get 3, you can get 4, and so on. So that's
you're adding steps to the ladder.
Yep, and it's everybody emphasizes slow practice, which I do too. But sometimes it's good to do a smaller amount to try to get a smaller amount of material at the tempo.
Yeah.
And this is also this is also a way of stepping up hard licks.